Cian Fahey, good morning to you and welcome to the studio.
Hello, I've made a deal already with Arthur before the show that we're not talking about Cork hurling, no matter what he wants to talk about Limerick over and over again.
Those deals don't really work. Arthur, good morning to you.
Hello.
You'd happily talk about Cork hurling for the next 2.5 hours, I suspect.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's not even registering now. He doesn't even need to take any bloody glory from it. It was that easy.
what's the relevance anymore, you know?
Hey,
Third team out of Munster. At best.
There's no chance that they don't enter a death spiral, is there?
well, I was saying to Arthur before the show, like it kind of the best, not the best thing that could happen to them, but like you have to get a response now in 3 weeks, and if you don't get a response, then like you were never going to get a response from that. Like because as soon as Aaron Gillan scored that goal,
The arrogance, 3 weeks. Looking past Waterford.
yeah. Well, if they get past Waterford, all right, but yeah, Cork arrogance, you know we have it. We love it sometimes, but like as soon as that Aaron Gillan goal went in, it just felt like the game was over, and it was like there was no fight back at all. So if they don't fight back in 3 weeks, then you can't turn around and say anything in defence of them, really, can you?
Cork are 5-1 on. The spread is 6 points, so it's going to be a routine 6-point victory at Páirc Uí Chaoimh, is what the bookmakers are saying.
Yeah, I don't. It's unfortunate for Waterford. I just don't think they'll have enough to live with. It would require something to happen, a red card or something kind of unforeseeable. I just don't think Waterford are there yet. But
I don't know if you feed Stephen Bennett enough. That goal he had at the weekend was unbelievable, wouldn't it?
yeah, I don't know. They're coming off the back now. Is it 7-8 point loss and then a 9-10 point loss?
It has been kind of as you expected
Yeah.
with them, notwithstanding their opening round performance, and maybe in retrospect, we read a bit too much into that. Let's get into what happened overnight. So obviously Shamrock Rovers hammered St.Pat's. Is the League of Ireland season finished? We'll talk about that in just a minute. You were out at that game. So Graham Burke scored twice. Michael Noonan also scored. Aaron Green scored to make it 4. Not really what we expected. We expected St. Pat's to be able to put a challenge up to them. There is the 2-week break coming in about 2 weeks' time, the end of the month. So an opportunity really for everybody else to regroup. But it was scoreless at Talca Park last night. Shells and Drogheda United. Shells just not firing at the moment up front. I saw a bit of that game. They're just not able to find each other in the attacking third of the pitch at the moment. Brighton beat Liverpool last night by 3-2, which was, I thought, an entirely predictable result, but I don't know if everybody saw this when it was 2. Did you see Szoboszlai's goal?
No.
It's worth digging out. I'm not sure if it was entirely a fluke, or if it wasn't, he didn't quite celebrate it like he meant it, but he's in that inside right position and just pings it into the far side netting.
He's one of those lads who should score way more high quality goals than you think. Like he's some striking him, but he just hasn't got goals in his game this season.
Yeah. No one seemed to know if he actually meant it. If he did mean it, it's the type of thing that you think he would be able to do on a semi-regular basis. But anyway, when it was 2-1, Mo Salah missed an absolute sitter from 6 yards out. Cody Gakpo found him on the edge of the keeper's area, and he just side foots at the far side of the post. What's going on? And then eventually Brighton managed to win, because let's face it, Liverpool are essentially on holidays and have been for the last week, literally. So Palace are in action tonight, obviously without the vast majority of their best players, who all managed to get concussed and ended up in hospital after the game at the weekend. But the big game tonight is Manchester City against Bournemouth, because if Man City don't win that, now if they get a draw, they probably are still going to be okay. But if Bournemouth were to win tonight, then Manchester United will be odds on not to qualify. Manchester City will be odds on not to qualify for the Champions League.
It's an old squad with a fairly quick turnaround too. Might not be the easiest game for them.
He did pick somebody to make his debut in the cup final instead of giving Jack Grealish minutes. So Grealish is the subject of the papers, which we'll get to in a few minutes. And the other thing that happened last night was a new word was coined live on TG4 by the Offaly minor football manager. This word wasn't coined. He revealed that at the start of the year he wrote the word offliness on a whiteboard at training, and everybody walked in and knew exactly what he meant. In the immediate aftermath of winning last night, which they did in fairly dramatic fashion, their under 17s, their keeper came up and kicked 2 absolute rakers for 2 points. He actually kicked 4 2-pointers over the course of the game, I think, maybe 5. They beat Louth, the fancy Louth team, 220 to 314 in Newbridge. And he was on TV. And Paul Rouse, obviously an Offaly man who'd been involved with that same group up until this year, was there, and they were embracing. And then he just was like totes emotion, talking about Offaliness. There was a real Offaliness in that team. And I was like, well, this is actually something. And there was an outpouring on the pitch and celebrations. Offaly's first minor title since '89. Although did they win one in COVID? But first one certainly in front of people.
Sorry, so Offaliness is like, I was thinking this was Spursy rather than something positive. So it's more like the Patriot Way or something like they're rebranding towards rather than trying to avoid.
If only you had an example that you could think of that is like a self-coined phrase to demonstrate exactly what a county is considered to, Corkness. It's their attempt to try and steal a bit of the Corkness thing. Yeah,
I don't think you want to steal from Cork right now.
And it was just great. It was absolutely you see there's a group of people in Offaly doing it, and obviously there's a similar group in Louth and Kildare and loads of other places around. But last night they had their moment in the sun, and the TG Car cameras, the glorious sunshine in Newbridge, as the game, it turned out an absolute epic. The minor teams not having recourse to blanket defences is fantastic. So that 1989 team missed a penalty in the Ireland final, which got brought up last night. It was actually a pal of mine missed the penalty, and it was like, that's me they're talking about on the telly there. But like, it's one of those things, like it has passed into the annals of time that here we are 46 years later.
Does that live with
What
him?
are my maths? I don't think so.
No?
I mean, I'm sure, like certainly, it's not like...
Did he go on to play senior?
Not like David Myler. No, injuries prevented him. He played some league games, but didn't have the senior career that maybe he might have anticipated. But that around that time, he was also pointing out that they won the minor hurling in '88 and '89 All Irelands.
That's some of the bulk of the '94 team, or is there?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The Dooleys and the Pilkingtons and they also reached the minor football final. And then obviously nothing happens for decades in the meantime until the last few years where they're back in both hurling and football at underage. It is absolutely mad, particularly for counties so small. But obviously what a great group they had. And anyway, it comes out last night and you can see Offaliness. If anybody wants to give us the exact definition of it this morning, have a go in the...
Yeah, I'm not sure what the characteristics are.
I mean, sorry, as a Limerick hurling fan, I think you probably have a fair idea, right?
Oh, no, but I don't know, Limerickness wouldn't be great.
No, I mean Offaliness. Offaly beating Limerick in the All-Ireland final from the death. Like, totally...
Is that it? Is that
totally and utterly dead?
One singular event?
Stopping
Punching
Kerry's...
above your weight?
Let's get Will O'Callaghan on the
Stopping
phone.
Kerry's 5 in a row.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
With the last gasp win in Croker, all into the same goals. Am I right? Was it all in the same end? I think it is.
Oh, that's a good question.
I think
it is on the TV. I'm not sure if the camera's flipped or not. Good question, though. I think you're right.
So
it's into the hill on both events, isn't it?
that was the big story from last night. If anybody wants to give us their thoughts on that, we'd love to.
That's class to see. But that's me, even I know from Sligo winning back-to-back Connacht under-20 championships over the last few years. It's amazing how in and of themselves those things become so important. I think especially in smaller counties where it's not necessarily seen as any sort of pathway. The senior element might pay off or not, but it doesn't. I like say if that's Dublin last night who win, it's kind of the immediate thing is about the pathway then into senior and who can develop and everything else, but it doesn't really feel that way. I'm sure that's the desire, but in and of itself it's an important thing. Like Will's always talking about it, the following those underage Offaly teams have, that it's off the charts. Like they're getting just huge numbers everywhere they go.
More than the Mayo senior footballers.
Yeah, well,
even then, like going into that game, I don't know how much were they underdogs or whatever, but like the story was very much loud, wasn't it? And getting the winning on top of winning, so it must have turned them over in the way they did as well. 8 points to 1 in the last 10 minutes of the game. It's unbelievable. Especially like it's got to be the only sport in the world that has a goalkeeper where the goalkeeper can come up and score your winning points. Like.
Right, so what was last night like? You were there for the coronation of Shamrock Rovers as champions.
Oh yeah, the league's over, 5 points clear. There you have a game in hand and fair. Yeah, it's like it's an interesting one because you see the scoreline, it's 4-0, and I was there, sat next to me, my cousin was there as well, and I was kind of saying to him, after 70 minutes or whatever, it was completely one-sided, game was over and that, but if you actually go back through the game, it didn't really feel like Rovers were that dominant. They just were incredibly clinical, and the keeper made a couple, the Pats keeper made a couple of bad errors. Like, he came out for the first goal at Michael Noonan, turned him quickly and had the most composed finish. When they were watching it initially, you kind of thought, oh, he's after mishitting that and it's only rolling into the net. But it shows the composure he has at such a young age. When you watch back the replay on the phone afterwards, he's like very calmly just slotting that ball home from an out wide position after the keeper runs past him. Like, the quality on show from the two teenagers on either side. Like, Melia didn't score. He hit the woodwork at the end of the game after a brilliant run going between people. He probably should have had a penalty where he was taken down the box where his quick feet made the defender miss. And like, it was an unbelievable kind of opportunity to see two young players who are emerging and becoming these superstars. And there's also that developing rivalry. Like, the Rovers fans were singing like negatively about Melia and comparing him to Noonan, and obviously last night it was kind of hard for the Pats fans to go back at him. But overall, like, the game was just, it was brilliant to be there. It was brilliant to be watching it.
You're speaking about the two kids doing really good. The Telegraph having a totally normal one here. Kiss goodbye to Brexit is the front page story, and it's Keir Starmer kissing Ursula von der Leyen on the cheek at Lancaster House before announcing their Brexit reset deal. And just in the middle of it there, so fishing, defence, travel, food and energy, but there's also youth mobility. While no deal was signed, there is an intention to work towards a balanced youth experience scheme for the UK and the EU. So will we ever see the Melias and the Noonans playing in the League of Ireland again if this deal comes through, or will they all be gone again at 16? Is that tiny little window that we had to get those players into the first teams?
It's hard to keep them
of the league and increase their value to a point where we were going to get fair value, 1 million, 2 million, 10 million at some point for the best teenager in Ireland. I don't know.
It's obviously hard to keep them.
Chaos theory of that yesterday. I just was interested.
But even watching it last night, like, Media was getting lumps kicked out of him by Pico Lopez, and you're kind of going, he's just bouncing back up every single time. Yeah, he goes plays youth football over in England. He's probably a higher level technically and all that kind of stuff. But that being brought up in that atmosphere and that environment, and still standing up and going back over and over again at that age, it's got to be massively beneficial to you. Unless, of course, you wind up with a horrendous injury, which is obviously the other side of that. Poor Evan Ferguson's ankle, of course, is the greatest example there.
Anything else from the game last night?
Mostly just very confused about Jack Byrne and the way he plays. It's like he spends all his time next to the fullback and like going around his back four. He seems to just want the ball all the time, no matter what. There was one stage where like the field had condensed and there was 4 Rovers players in and around together, and he was about 30 yards away, and he just sprinted to get right in the middle of them as if they were doing a rondo before the game, and he was just right in the centre looking for the ball. And even if they gave him the ball, the only people he would have had to pass to were 3 yards in every direction. So he was having a go at the Pats bench a few times as well. He was absolutely up for it last night, and obviously that helped Rovers win the game ultimately. So there's a great kind of tenacity to him that's still there even at this later stage in his career now. Does he count as later stage in his career at this stage? He does, doesn't he?
It's been a long time, yeah. It's hard to know. He must only still be about late 20s.
I would have guessed 31.
Like,
I hope he's on a birthday today.
It's probably, well, he's the same vintage as Cian Lynch, isn't he?
Well, he's 29. You had it
they came through together, didn't they? So, what was the crowd like? Just numbers.
Numbers wise wasn't great, but it's a Monday night, so it was 6,800, I think. But like the atmosphere was great. Like there was the fans who were there were happy to be there, and there was loads of kids behind the new stand, so I think they get in for free on games like that. So it was.
That's not bad for a Monday, yeah.
But that's kind of one of the things I've been trying to do this year, because I think in currently now, because everything's on TV and there's so much sport on TV, it's so easy to fall into that rhythm of seeing everything on TV, and I've been kind of making a point to go to as many games as I can, and like a League of Ireland atmosphere. Same as La Liga atmosphere, same as the Premier League atmosphere. It's class once you have the actual rivalry there, you know.
It's funny, it's the exact same thing that was motivating to go on Sunday. It's a match.
Not say we're going back to Cork.
No, but it was the same thing. It was just like, oh sure, there's kind of like, oh, why wouldn't you? You'd be just mad not to, like, if you can. It is just, even though it's a very long day.
Yeah, now the last year's games between them were some of the all-time greatest sports. So it's kind of like, oh, why would I go?
It's not like it's a big sell. No, I don't mean it's a big sell or like it requires a bit of effort to go up. I'm just in terms of, you're leaving early, you're back late, you're up early the following morning. It's just that you're standing in the sun
Having
for
said
hours.
that, right? Having said that, I did manage to catch the Offaly celebrations. Saw a good bit of the Shells game. Was able to watch Liverpool last night, and that's a run of the mill
Monday.
Yeah.
No, look, I'm not saying get rid of TV coverage games like sport. It's fine, but there is.
See an attendance figure for the Offaly Louth game. There was a reasonable crowd at it. It wasn't bananas jammers, but
that's it's that sense of occasion you just don't get from at home. Like
no, it's true. It is true. So you said that's an amazing crowd for a Friday night, considering. I think John Martin, the Rovers chairman or CEO, was saying that it used to be like about 1,500 to 2,000 for a Monday night was what they were doing. So like the trend is massively upwards, and there is a lot. I don't know if everybody saw Graham Burke's goal, but it was a class like dribble, whack.
And the second goal was a great team goal as well. So you kind of got everything last night.
I'll very quickly do the newspapers. Offaly on the back of the Independent celebrating keeper of the faithful ends Offaly's 36-year wait. Gardaí called after unacceptable level of violence erupts in Munster Youth Cup final. It started on the pitch and spread from the pitch into the bleachers. Men's sevens players to be paid in full until the end of 2025, which, I mean, maybe they had contracts till the end of 2025. And there's going to be an education bursary. It'll be interesting to see what that actually means in practice. But I think that's the official end of the sevens is like, we like your hustle. That's why it's very hard to cut you, Flanders. United set their sights on Cunha and the Lap, which seems a bit cold. That's the headline from that one. The Irish Times are leading with Graham Burke celebrating, I think, after the third goal with Michael Noonan in the background. Burke brace puts paid to Pats as rampant Rovers go 5 points clear. Apparently, Spurs are right behind Ange Postecoglou, the players anyway, Mickey van de Ven in particular. Amad Diallo has revealed his frustration under Eric Ten Hag, but he was praising him for telling him to keep working as well. So, and then obviously they've got the match report from last night. Liverpool vying for Wirtz. £126 million is the price for Florian Wirtz. And Liverpool are the only other team other than Bayern who might be in with a chance of signing him, although there is speculation that he might stay for another season. Lineker allies stick with BBC. So Gary Lineker is leaving the BBC effective immediately, having shared a post on Instagram. But Shearer, Mika Richards and other leading pundits will remain on. It's a big thing in all the papers today about the Thursday start for the Six Nations. It's like, oh no, people are going to have to spend 2 days in Paris. Well, it's not a big deal for football fans to go midweek to matches. Rugby fans, though, they're not allowed to travel midweek?
We're not sure it's Paris either, is it?
Football fans don't have as good lobbyists.
Why is this such a big deal?
What? The
Thursday
Thursday?
nights.
I don't think it is, but like they'll still go.
It's an outrage. It's terrible.
But
it's horrific.
also,
They're making us go and watch sport in a beautiful European city of a Thursday. I demand my traditional route to March and get pissed on the way to the game on a Saturday afternoon. Otherwise, it's not real.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's the main thing. Because the infrequency of these games, they're more of an event around the game as much as they are the game themselves. Like, if you want to go see United play on a Thursday and a Wednesday, whatever, you can see them every other week. Like, it's the same, not the same thing for Ireland.
There's also one of the things was, people are going to have to take days off work to go and see the game. It's like, but maybe people won't take days off work and the tickets become available for students. Maybe this is going to be more akin to Ireland in the World Cup in France than, a bunch of corporate jollies who are like, is the game on? What's the score? I don't know. Checking my phone. Maybe we should embrace a little bit of change.
It is funny though. It's
Thursday night's going to be a great night for us all to sit and watch on TV, which is the vast majority of people.
Yeah. No, for sure. I wonder now will that clash with Villa in the Europa League? Be about February, March. Will it be back?
Well, the Champions League.
That's why you stay at home and watch games and not go to them, you see.
Well, because I saw Miguel Delaney writing about thing as well. There's been challenges for Man United and Spurs fans to get to Bilbao.
Planes, trains and automobiles.
That it is just a nightmare. And then the cost is a nightmare.
Yeah, I have a buddy who was talking about over $2,000 just to get them.
Yeah,
and
it's absurd.
You just flying to Biarritz? Train down?
I presume there's plenty who can, but that there's just I suppose, limited enough spots for that, because I mean, there's going to be just tens of thousands going from, I suppose, not one, but like from a few small different areas. Like, it's just not going to. And most people, everyone I've talked to who's going tends to be, it's either gone later today or gone tomorrow morning and back Thursday morning. So people can't take 3 days off work for it. Like,
No, but it's European final, so like
it's just kind of one of those things. Though it's like there seems like not that there has to be a better way. I know the planning has to go into it, but it's such an absurdity when you have two teams from the same country, with the majority of their fans coming from the same general area.
All coming from London, you mean?
No, but they're the same general area.
All the London,
but
Man United fans booking out Spurs flights.
It's tough. But as you're saying, like, it doesn't. When it's rugby on a Thursday, it's uproar.
It feels like the rare final where the team that loses it is the bigger story, regardless. Like, I know you're a United fan, so maybe it's different for you. But from a neutral point of view, you're kind of watching this going, right, who's going to lose this, rather than I'm going there and I'm delighted we win it.
Yeah, I think Man United will win. Okay, and
Man United are going to win, and the Spurs situation is kind of unmoved either way. Like, maybe if they were to win and get into the Champions League and get a new manager and sign a lot of players, maybe it's a transformative moment for them, but like, there's no evidence that they're going to invest that. So Mount wants to repay United with a trophy for the faith shown in him despite his injuries. IO Euro is the headline on the back of the Mirror, and Cracker Jack stuns Reds. Jack Hinchelwood scored with his first touch. That's the story, and there's lots of stories about Pep Guardiola. We couldn't win big. Amarim, United need glory in Bilbao. Devils will trigger 62.5 million. Matt Claus and Beckham urges board to back boss. So, David Beckham now is back.
There's something him and Gary Neville were doing. I don't know what it was. I saw it somewhere, some junket or something. I don't know what it was. FAI slam. Violence is unacceptable. I've already done that anyway. Splash and grab. Ruben desperate. Amarim delight. No. Ruben, desperate United fans will swim to Bilbao. Amarim delight as 73 million Cunha deal is sealed. So they broke the sentence up with the Red Devils logo in the between, and I couldn't read it. It's like, what is this? They're saying the Cunha deal is sealed.
Well, if they win. If they get Champions League football, they'll be able to afford the 73 million.
Well, no, I was reading
Euros,
that. I think it's
65 sterling, right?
I think it's irrespective of it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Definitely. Sorry, the Delap deal.
Delap maybe, but it's kind of the Cunha one. I think they're spreading. I think it's spread over at least 3 instalments.
He's got like 3 red cards this year or something, isn't it? He's a bit mad for a winger. Like, and United tend to, when there's these players that can go either direction, they tend to only go one way in recent years.
Suspensions are just a substitute for passion,
Europa fears police warn ticketless fans to stay away from Bilbao final, which is a fairly traditional day before big match.
Good luck.
Six Nations set for Thursday opener thanks to Olympics. The Winter Olympics is on. Same broadcasters doing them in France. The opening ceremony is on the Friday. They're like, please come with the game on the Thursday. We can't have the game on the Thursday. We'll all move on with our lives. The Telegraph totally obsessed with Gary Lineker. Lineker could lose out on 800,000 in BBC exit.
They're making serious hay about that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously. Amarim, Europa glory, not enough. The world is not enough for Ruben Amarim. He wants everything. And look, maybe he'll get it. Maybe he will turn it around. Maybe this is the moment.
Maybe.
This is his FA Cup win before they go and win the next 7 leagues. And Wafer wins fans poll for top Six Nations player. So Aoife Wafer is the 2025 Women's Six Nations Player of the Championship.
Which is a bit mad, isn't it, considering where Ireland finished in the table?
And as the guys were saying, she only played 4 games.
Well, she only played 4 games, but she had 70 carries, which was tied for the most in the tournament, which shows you her importance to Ireland. And like, she's a phenomenal player. I was actually surprised, like reading up in this morning, she's only played 15 times for Ireland. It feels like she's kind of been ever present for quite a while. Now it's probably because she scored 12 tries in those 15 games. Like, it's you're constantly getting the camera on you if you're the one scoring all the time. But she's 100% the face of Irish rugby, and she might be moving to the position where she's the face of European rugby at this rate if you're getting that. I know there's a fan vote involved in it all, but if you're winning that while your team's not going that well, if she played the last game against Scotland, they probably would have won that as well. So, I mean, she's just one of the superstars of Irish sport, really, isn't she? Yeah,
with a World Cup to come, it's just really devastating that we are missing a couple of our other best players for the World Cup, because you feel like they might have been able to do something magical in a one-off game. and that's now not going to be the option. But she's going to have a great career. And
it helps from the few times she's been on. It helps as well, like that she's just incredibly charismatic.
Yeah,
and just like so evidently kind of interesting to kind of listen to, and that's never it's never going to hurt you too much.
But you mentioned that World Cup as well. Like, that's a local World Cup, so even if we are a little bit under strength, like, that's been on in England it gives us a real shot at, like, even if we don't expect to go and win the thing, you'd expect to have a good journey through it, you know.
As one great back row emerges, blinking into the sunlight, one shuffles off to retirement. You were down at Musgrave Park on Friday watching Peter O'Mahony's fans gather to pay one last tribute.
Yeah, so like I had the best seats in the house because we were sat right behind his family and sat behind himself, the man himself, once he came off the bench. But like we went down, and Peter O'Mahony is like such an identity for Munster fans, and especially for Cork people. Like he's one of these people. It's a bit like Sean Ogg back in the day. Whenever you went into the city with Sean Ogg during the peak of his career, he'd just be walking around town and you'd be talking to people and chatting away. Like, you'll see Peter O'Mahony around the city every so often. He kind of feels like one of us, and one of us as a people. As a wider people, but for the team then. He's always felt like he is the identity and the tone setter. And it was, I probably made a bit of an editorial mistake going to the game, where we went and we wanted to ask people for their favourite memory of O'Mahony. And if we play that through, you'll hear what we found.
Could you describe Peter O'Mahony in 3 words for us?
A gentleman, determination,
there's a bit of dog in him,
the never say die attitude, and a warrior on the pitch. I've done a bit of work for Peter in his garden.
Over the years, all the back rows had it,
which he's very fond of.
He epitomises it. Just bring a bit of dog to the fight, like, you know what I mean?
This weekend we're here to support you.
Proud of him.
I love Peter O'Mahony and Tasben, of course.
When he stepped down from captain, I think his leadership skills were just brilliant.
So I hope he sees this as it, Peter. Big shout out to you.
Keep in touch with Jack Rowley. Yes. I tell the truth. Yeah. I love him.
Fair play.
First ball was last week's try, like.
Take it.
It looked like a GA player going up.
You know, his try last week was brilliant.
Take the mic.
To catch it in an All-Ireland final, to catch that ball so high in the air.
Take the mic. The way he got the ball, leaped like a salmon into the air.
I didn't think you could jump that high, to be honest, but I was very impressed. And then the way he slammed it down.
And dotted the ball down. And it was just like... Yes, you know, pardon my French.
And broke Thomond Park.
It was like a GA try in a way, like, got the ball over his head, banged it down.
Happy days. Do you have one in mind?
My favourite Peter O'Mahony moment would be captaining the Lions. He's been an outstanding servant to Munster. He's been unbelievable, like a great captain, a leader, a praise boy, more importantly. His only fallback is he's from Con, so we'll give him that.
Has to have one fault.
Yeah. We all have our own problems.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's funny how the rivalry, the local rivalry, comes out at the very end. It's like, no, definitely one of us, until actually, you know what, there is a little bit. Anyway, it all worked out.
Well, that was the surprise. Well, it shouldn't have been a surprise in retrospect, but like, we went around to people and every single person said the same memory, the try last week. And it did get you thinking. Actually, one person said to me, "Oh, do you remember that lineup that he won?" And expected me to know what he was talking about just from that part. So, like, he wasn't a moments player. And when you say someone isn't a moments player, that's often like an insult or a negative connotation to it. Like, if you talk about someone like Stephen Gerrard, for example, comes to my mind, because in the biggest of moments he stood up, and you've Galatasaray, you've Olympiacos, you've the FA Cup finals, you've the Champions League final when he moved to right back, you've the header in the Champions League final, you've all these moments off the top of your head straight away. Peter O'Mahony, I don't have them for Munster. I have him like covering that ball against New Zealand for Ireland. You have him like with like different turnovers and different moments. And it felt like that should be a negative, but it's not. It's because he was such an ever-present and a representative of the whole identity of the team, and he kind of set the tone for the whole team, that he didn't really need those moments. And now I'd be quite concerned about us moving forward.
I think you're all making excuses for the fact that the team has been badly run for the last decade. It has.
No, that's nothing to do with that.
Absolutely. But the team did not win European Cups, and they should have. You've had generational players in him and Conor Murray, and the team has underperformed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No one's arguing with that.
You're all making excuses with that. Oh, he didn't have those moments for us. Like, because he didn't play in the big games, because they weren't backed properly, they weren't run properly, they didn't invest in their own academies properly. And when you say this, like, oh, that's ridiculous. It's like, no, it's just the fact that they didn't get their house in order. Now they have got their house in order, and the academy is starting to put players through, and you can see the work that Costello's been doing over the last 3 or 4 years beginning to bear fruit. But they were a decade behind where they needed to be, and I think that they wasted the best years of O'Mahony and
no one disagrees with that, don't they?
And also Conor Murray.
Like, none of us are sat there months ago, aren't we? Well, there probably are people there sat there months ago, the last 10 years have been great. The last 10 years have been exactly where we wanted to be. Like, people like O'Mahony and Murray, they were the foundation. The pieces that came in after that, for me, is where they kind of went wrong. Like, once Jan Klein, for example, was no longer Irish qualified, like, that became someone you have to pay a lot of money to keep and retain. And it kind of felt like we were never able to build beyond when we were bringing people in from the outside. And you've got so many young guys coming through there that just haven't taken the next step, and they'll need to now. Like, O'Mahony was kind of keeping us afloat to a degree, I feel like, and now once he's gone, you'd be very concerned about where it goes from here, even from then.
You wanted to mention Alex Dunne. We missed him yesterday. He should have really been in green in the performance rankings, but he's doing amazing things. He was in studio recently with Owen, and he was very struck by his presence and charisma.
Yeah, he's just like, he's on the precipice of being an F1 driver essentially, and he's obviously still a teenager. Again, we're going back to our Midlands, or he's Offaly as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So they're off. It's a big morning for Offaly. Like, we just had to look into a little bit of his background just to see just how big his achievements have been. Like, he beat Lando Norris's record for wins and podiums in F3. Lando Norris is obviously flying in F1 right now, and then he went up to the next level of racing after that, which is GB3, and was instantly a contender. He finished second in that for that season during his first year. He's going to be the first Irish driver, hopefully, since the 90s to actually be in the F1, on the F1 stage. And he's already started driving, doing test runs for the F1 team, which is something that Irish drivers haven't done in 20 or 30 years, whatever it is. And to be honest, like, it also is just nice to have someone that's a little bit relatable in that sport, because, like, Charles Leclerc is, like, literally a prince. Max Verstappen is like this uber rich kid, and he's like leading along. So you've got someone who, like, is somewhat normal for the rest of us, at least, who's coming in and could be developing a rivalry with, hopefully, with Kimi Antonelli moving forward as the two teenagers coming through in F1.
Are you into F1?
Not massively, but I find myself talking about it because so many people around my age are, and so many people who are even younger than me now, it's such a big thing for them. But to me, it always feels like it's just such a soap opera for men for the most part, but also women are massively into it as well, because they will spend an hour talking about it and not once talk about anything that happened in the race. It's all about the drama and everything that's happening around the drivers and all that stuff, which probably goes back to Drive to Survive, the Netflix thing.
But isn't that mostly what people talk about when it comes to football? Like transfers and drama and managers, as opposed to analysis of the tactical. And
but it's like
a full strain of people who do the tactic stuff, but
it's stuff like this driver's cheated on this driver with that partner, and it's that kind of stuff. It's not like Ruben Amorim or Damien Duff is standing in the wrong place at a Bohemians game or whatever, you know.
All right, 3 minutes past 8. Off the Ball Breakfast is with UPMC Orthopedic Care. When things don't move, rotate, or bend like they used to, choose us to help you get back in action.